Chapter 1. The Redburn File .001 Cabin Cam. The timestamp read 02/1733. Rain lashed the windshield of the Peterbilt. Inside the cab, a man named Marcus Thorne, his face illuminated by the green glow of the dashboard, hummed a tuneless song. His rig, laden with lumber, rumbled through the oppressive dark. Fatigue etched lines around his eyes. He yawned, a wide cavernous motion, and reached for a battered thermos. "Almost there, Bessie," he muttered, patting the dashboard. "One more stop, then we coast." The dashcam, mounted high and centered, provided an unwavering view of the road ahead, its microphone picking up the hiss of tires on wet asphalt, the rhythmic thrum of the diesel engine, and Marcus's occasional comments. For 20 minutes, the footage showed little more than the hypnotic dance of lane markers swallowed by the night. Then a sign materialized from the gloom: "Last Chance Gas and Go, Fuel, EATS, next SERVICES 60 miles." The letters were faded, some askew. One of the fluorescent tubes beneath it sputtered erratically. Marcus sighed. Figured as much, running on fumes here. He flicked his indicator. The turn signal's rhythmic click joined the cab's soundscape. The Peterbilt slowed, turning onto a wide, cracked apron leading to the station. It was an old structure, a relic from a previous motoring era. Two pump islands stood under a sagging canopy, their paint peeling. The main building, a squat rectangle with grimy windows, showed a single dim light within. No other vehicles were present. The place possessed an air of profound stillness, broken only by the rain and the idling engine of the approaching truck. Marcus brought the rig to a halt beside the diesel pump. He killed the engine. The sudden quiet, save for the patter of rain on the cab roof, was almost startling. "All right, boy, let's see who's minding the store at this hour." He unsnapped his seatbelt. The camera recorded him opening the door, the dome light flickering on briefly, then stepping out. His boots crunched on unseen gravel. For a minute, only the exterior view of the canopy and the rain-swept pumps filled the frame. Marcus's muffled voice could be heard. "Hello? Anybody working?" A figure emerged from the shadowy doorway of the station building. Tall, gaunt, dressed in dark, oil-stained overalls. This was the first visual of what would later be designated Subject Alpha, or more colloquially, the Twitching Attendant. Its movements were off, a slight, almost imperceptible jerkiness to its limbs, a head that cocked at an unnatural angle as it regarded the truck. "Diesel." The voice, when it came, was raspy, a dry rustle like old paper. It was impossible to tell gender or age. The dashcam microphone struggled to capture it clearly over the rain. "Yeah, fill her up, Chief," Marcus replied, his voice carrying better. He walked towards the pump, out of the dashcam's direct line of sight, but his shadow stretched under the canopy lights. The attendant moved towards the diesel pump. Its gait was stiff, a marionette with tangled strings. Each step seemed considered, yet poorly executed. One hand, visible for a moment as it reached for the nozzle, had a dark, slick sheen to it, even in the dim light, as if perpetually coated in fresh oil. There was a faint metallic glint to the skin. "Card or cash?" the attendant croaked, its head performing another one off those odd, quick tilts. "Card," Marcus said. The sounds of the pump engaging, the clunk of the nozzle, the gurgle of fuel. The dashcam continued its vigil. Raindrops streaked the lens. Minutes passed. Marcus could be heard making small talk, quiet night, huh? A pause, then the attendant's voice, always quiet. The fueling finished. Marcus returned to the cab, dripping. "Creepy dude," he muttered, shaking his head as he settled into the driver's seat. "Gave me the willies." He started the engine. The diesel roared to life, then settled into its familiar idle. He performed his checks, lights, brakes. The dashcam showed him glancing towards the station building. The attendant stood in the doorway, a motionless silhouette against the faint interior light, watching. "Right then, Bessie, let's blow this popsicle stand." He put the truck in gear. As the Peterbilt pulled away from the station, its headlights swept across the forecourt. For a split second, the light caught something on the ground near the pump island Marcus had used. A dark, viscous puddle, larger than simple spillage, shimmering with an oily rainbow. It seemed to writhe. The camera angle wasn't ideal, the moment too brief for certainty. The truck rejoined the highway. Marcus turned on the radio, a crackly country station. He drove for another 10 minutes. The rain began to ease. "Engine sounds a bit rough, girl," he commented, leaning forward slightly as if listening. The microphone picked up a subtle change in the engine's note, a deeper, more guttural resonance, accompanied by a faint, irregular clicking. Probably this cheap fuel. Another 5 minutes. The clicking became more pronounced, almost rhythmic. A small, dark speck appeared on the lower edge of the windshield, seemingly from outside. Then another. Marcus frowned, activating the wipers. They smeared the specks into oily streaks. What in the Sam Hill? The truck's reflection in a large puddle on the roadside showed something odd. A metallic sheen seemed to be spreading across the Peterbilt's grille, like frost, but dark, oily. The dashcam caught it only for a moment. The engine noise changed again, a distinct, wet, tearing sound now mixed with the clicks. Warning lights began to illuminate on the dashboard. Marcus cursed. "No, no, no, not now." The cab vibrated, a loud bang as if from under the hood. The dashcam picture flickered violently. Marcus shouted, words lost in a burst of static. The engine screamed, a mechanical shriek that morphed into something guttural, almost animalistic. The last coherent visual on DAT-001 was Marcus wrestling with the wheel as the truck veered sharply. The image dissolved into a cascade of multicolored static, accompanied by a high-pitched whine and a final, sickening crunch. Then, silence. The recording ended. The drive itself was recovered from the wreckage days later, 60 miles from the last chance. The lumber was scattered. Marcus Thorne was missing. Chapter 2. The Redburn File DAT-002 Minivan Mayhem. The second drive was salvaged from a severely damaged minivan, registered to a Miller family of 4. The dashcam, a budget model suction cup to the windshield, had survived, though its casing was cracked. The metadata indicated the recordings began mid-morning, approximately 36 hours after the Thorne incident. The sky was a uniform, depressing gray. The initial footage was unremarkable. A winding country road, trees bare in the late autumn chill. Inside, the sounds of a family trip, Two children, a boy and a girl, squabbling in the back. A woman in the passenger seat, we'll call her Sarah, trying to mediate. And a man, David, driving, his voice edged with frustration. "Are we there yet?" wailed the boy Liam, aged around 8. "No, sweetie," Sarah said, her tone strained. "Soon." "GPS says turn left in 200 feet, David announced, peering at his phone mounted on the dash. "This is supposed to be a shortcut. Shave an hour off," it said. "I don't like this road, David," Sarah said. "It's empty. We haven't seen another car for miles." "It's a shortcut, hun. That's the point." He made the turn onto an even narrower track, gravel crunching under the minivan's tires. Overgrown branches scraped against the vehicle's sides. "I want ice cream," declared the younger child, Chloe, around 6. The GPS suddenly chimed. Recalculating, rerouting. In 1 mile, destination on right, last chance gas and go. David frowned. "What? That's not right. I put in Grandma's address." He tapped at his phone. "Signal's gone. Great." "Maybe it's a mistake," Sarah suggested, looking around uneasily. The landscape was bleak, fields of dead cornstalks under the oppressive sky. They drove on. The minivan bumped over potholes. After a few minutes, the faded sign of the last chance gas and go appeared through a break in the trees. It looked even more dilapidated in the gray daylight than it had in Marcus Thorne's nighttime footage. "Well, there it is," David said, a note of false cheerfulness in his voice. "Might as well top up. Don't fancy running out of gas out here." He pulled onto the cracked apron. The station was silent, no sign of life. The building's windows were dark. "This place is creepy," Liam muttered from the back. "It's just an old gas station, buddy," David said, unbuckling his seatbelt. "I'll be quick." As David got out, Sarah scanned the area. "David, wait, there's someone in the doorway." The dashcam captured the figure of the twitching attendant standing just inside the station's main door, partially obscured by shadow. Even from this distance, its posture was unnatural, its head tilted too far to one side. It remained perfectly still. "Probably just the owner," David said, trying to sound confident. He walked towards the pumps. The attendant did not move, did not speak. David selected a pump, the one further from the building, and began to fuel the minivan. "Mommy, look, spiders," Chloe's voice high-pitched. She was pointing out her window. Sarah leaned over. "What spiders, sweetie? I don't see any," her voice caught. The dashcam's view was limited, but focused downwards towards the base of the minivan on Chloe's side. Small, dark shapes could be seen scuttling rapidly across the concrete. They were low to the ground, glinting metallically. The asphalt skitterers. They resembled grotesque crabs fashioned from rusty bolts, twisted wires, and jagged pieces of metal. Several of them darted under the minivan. "What on earth are those things?" Sarah whispered, her voice tight with alarm. David, finished fueling, was walking back to the van. "What's wrong?" "Those things," Sarah pointed. David peered under the van. "Probably just some weird bugs or field mice. Come on, let's go." He got in, started the engine. He put the van in reverse. There was a soft pop, then a hissing sound. The tire pressure warning light flashed on the dashboard. "Oh, you have got to be kidding me." David swore under his breath. He got out again, walked around to the rear passenger side tire. It was completely flat, a long metallic shard protruding from the rubber. "A nail out here," he sounded exasperated. "All right, spare tire time." He opened the trunk, began rummaging for the jack and spare. Sarah kept watching the area around the van. The skitterers were becoming bolder, venturing out from under the vehicle. One, larger than the others, made of what looked like a distributor cap and spark plug wires for legs, crawled onto the flat tire, its metallic parts clicking. "David, they're on the tire," Sarah cried. David, struggling with the lug nuts, looked up. "Shoo, get off." He waved a tire iron at it. The skitterer scurried back a little, then stopped, its makeshift appendages twitching. More of them were emerging, dozens now, surrounding the base of the minivan. They moved with a disturbing, collective intelligence. "This is not normal," David muttered, his earlier bravado gone. He worked faster, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool air. "Daddy, they're trying to get in," Liam shouted. Several skitterers were climbing the side of the minivan, their metallic claws scraping against the paint. One reached the window where Chloe was pressed, tapping its sharp point against the glass. Chloe screamed. David finally got the flat tire off. As he reached for the spare, there was another pop, this time from the front driver's side tire. It deflated rapidly. No. The skitterers swarmed towards the newly deflated tire, some even trying to crawl into the wheel well. The attendant remained in the doorway, a silent, observing sentinel. Its head twitched, a quick, bird-like movement. "Get in the car, get in the car," David yelled, abandoning the spare. He scrambled back into the driver's seat, slammed the door. "We're driving out of here, flats or not." He gunned the engine. The minivan lurched forward, rims grinding against the concrete. The skitterers scattered, but some clung to the undercarriage. The vehicle bumped violently. "Hold on," David shouted. He aimed for the exit. The dashcam showed the cracked apron approaching. Suddenly, something large and dark slammed onto the hood of the minivan with immense force. The windshield crazed, visibility dropping to near zero. It wasn't a skitterer, it was bigger, heavier. The vehicle slewed to a stop, engine stalling. Sarah screamed. Liam and Chloe were crying hysterically in the back. "What was that?" David gasped, trying to see through the shattered glass. A thick, oily tentacle, like a grotesquely oversized fuel hose, smashed through the driver's side window. Glass exploded inwards. The tentacle, tipped with something that looked like a rusted, sharpened nozzle, whipped around the cabin. The dashcam, knocked askew by the initial impact on the hood, now pointed upwards, capturing the panicked faces of David and Sarah, the thrashing tentacle, and then, abruptly, a torrent of dark, viscous fluid sprayed across the lens. The audio continued for a few more seconds, muffled screams, tearing sounds, a wet, gurgling noise. Then a sharp crackle and the recording ended. The minivan was found lodged against one of the pump islands, its tires shredded, its body dented and smeared with an unidentifiable oily substance. The Miller family was gone. Chapter 3. The Redburn File DAT-003 Sports Car Sprint. This footage came from a high-end sports car, a sleek black coupe. The internal memory card was surprisingly intact, though the car itself was a mangled wreck discovered miles from the station, wrapped around a tree. The driver remains unidentified, designated Driver X. The timestamp indicated this event occurred nearly a week after the Miller family's disappearance, under the cloak of a moonless night. The recording began with the car already at high speed on a deserted stretch of highway, the engine a predatory snarl. Driver X was pushing the vehicle hard, the speedometer, occasionally visible in the dash reflection, often exceeding 100 miles per hour. The interior was dark, only the instrument panel providing illumination. No conversation, just the roar of the engine and the rush of wind. After about 15 minutes of relentless driving, the fuel warning light blinked on. Driver X uttered a short, sharp curse. A few minutes later, the last chance gas and GO sign appeared, its sputtering light a grim beacon in the darkness. Driver X slowed dramatically, the powerful brakes whining. The sports car turned into the station, its low-slung chassis scraping slightly on the uneven apron. The station looked utterly derelict. Cobwebs, thick as shrouds, hung from the canopy. One of the pump islands was visibly damaged, the concrete around it stained dark, likely where the Miller minivan had met its end. As Driver X pulled up to the remaining functional pump island, the dashcam offered a clear view of the twitching attendant. It stood beside the pumps, not emerging from the building this time, but waiting, as if expecting this specific arrival. Its appearance had degraded further. The oil-stained overalls were torn, revealing glimpses of something dark and metallic beneath, fused with what might have once been flesh. Patches of its skin had a scaled, iridescent quality. Its head was now permanently fixed at an extreme angle, and its visible hand ended not in fingers, but in a cluster of thin, twitching metallic filaments. Driver X seemed unfazed, or perhaps simply oblivious to the subtle horrors. The driver's door opened. A sleek, expensive shoe touched the ground. The transaction was silent, conducted with hand gestures. The attendant moved with a pronounced, painful-looking limp, one leg dragging slightly, scraping on the concrete. The fueling commenced. The dashcam held its steady gaze on the scene. The only sounds were the hum of the pump and the distant cry of some night bird. Then a new sound began, a faint, rhythmic pulsing, seemingly emanating from the pump island itself. It was a deep, almost subaudible thrum, like a giant, sluggish heart. The pulsing grew stronger. The metal casing of the pump island visibly vibrated. The fuel hoses, thick and black, began to twitch, then to writhe as if alive. This was the Pump Hydra awakening. Driver X, having just replaced the gas cap, turned. Their posture, previously relaxed, tensed instantly. The hoses were now coiling and uncoiling like enraged pythons, detaching themselves from their holsters with metallic shrieks. Nozzles, sharp and menacing, aimed towards the sports car. What the Driver X's exclamation was cut short as the first hose lashed out. It struck the car's flank with a deafening clang, leaving a deep gouge in the pristine paintwork. Driver X scrambled into the car, engine roaring to life instantly. The Pump Hydra was fully active. 3. Then 4 hoses snaked through the air, striking the car repeatedly, smashing headlights, cracking the windshield. One hose, thicker than the others, wrapped around the passenger side mirror, tearing it from the door with a screech of metal. The sports car shot backwards, tires spinning, then rocketed forwards, attempting to escape the station. The dashcam footage became a blur of motion, chaotic flashes of light and shadow. The hoses pursued, stretching to impossible lengths, smashing against the rear of the car. One whipped over the roof, its nozzle shattering the rear window. Glass sprayed into the cabin. Driver X swerved violently, trying to dislodge the metallic appendages. The car fishtailed onto the main road. The dashcam showed the station receding, but one hose, incredibly, remained attached, snagged on the rear spoiler. It stretched taut, pulling, trying to drag the car back. The engine screamed in protest. Driver X fought for control. The hose thrashed, its nozzle slamming against the trunk, then the roof. Suddenly, it whipped forward with terrifying speed and precision, piercing the already cracked windshield directly in front of the driver's seat. The dashcam recorded a brief, pixelated image of the nozzle, dripping a dark, oily substance, filling the frame. A choked scream, cut short. The car veered sharply off the road. The image became a dizzying spin of trees and darkness, punctuated by the rending crash of metal and breaking branches. The final frames were a static shot of the forest floor, illuminated by a flickering, broken headlight. The sound of dripping fluid, the creak of cooling metal. Then the dashcam's battery apparently failed and the screen went black. Chapter 4. The Redburn File .004 Pursuit and Prey. The fourth data card was pried from a dashcam unit melted onto the dashboard of a burnt-out pickup truck. The vehicle, an old Ford with custom roll bars, was discovered in a ravine several miles from the last chance, its chassis twisted almost beyond recognition. The footage, surprisingly, was largely intact up to the final moments. The driver, based on snippets of heard CB radio chatter, was a man known locally as Cutter, who seemed to possess some awareness of the station's ill repute. The recording started with Cutter's pickup already on the approach to the gas station, but from the opposite direction to the previous victims. It was late afternoon, the sun low and casting long, eerie shadows. He was not slowing. Breaker 19, this is Road Hog for Cutter. You got eyes on that all-spooky station yet, Cutter? Over. The CB radio crackled. Cutter, a grizzled man with a grin set to his jaw, keyed his mic. Negative, Road Hog, coming up on it now. Place gives me the creeps. Heard stories. Not stopping, just doing a slow pass, satisfy my curiosity. Over. His voice was a low rumble. 10-4, Cutter. Don't get yourself et by no pump monsters. Road Hog clear. Cutter chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. Ain't worried 'bout no pump monsters. The last chance gas and go came into view. It looked even worse than in previous recordings. The damage from the sports car incident was evident. One pump island was a mangled ruin. The main building seemed to sag further. No sign of the attendant. Cutter slowed the pickup but kept a steady pace, driving along the edge of the station's apron on the highway side. The dashcam panned slightly with the truck's movement, offering a wider view of the station grounds. Shadows lay thick around the derelict service bay at the far end of the building. "Place is dead as a doornail," Cutter muttered, more to himself than the CB. "Looks like it's been closed for." A sudden, immense crashing sound erupted from the service bay. Metal shrieked and tore. From the deep shadows, a colossal figure began to emerge. This was the first clear recording of the grinder beast. It was a nightmarish amalgamation of vehicular parts, far larger and more terrifying than any description could prepare for. The chassis of a heavy tow truck formed its core, but fused to it were parts of other vehicles. The hood of a sedan acting as a crude chest plate, mismatched truck wheels for shoulders, crane arms ending in grasping claws made of twisted axles and leaf springs. Its head was a mangled engine block, with broken headlights for glowing, malevolent eyes. It moved with a ponderous, grinding gait, each step shaking the ground. Oily smoke plumed from ruptured exhaust pipes on its back. "Holy Mother," Cutter breathed, his bravado instantly evaporating. He slammed his foot on the accelerator. The pickup's engine roared, tires spitting gravel as it surged forward. The grinder beast, with surprising agility for its bulk, lumbered onto the apron, then onto the highway, its metallic roar a deafening chorus of tortured engines. It began to pursue the pickup. The dashcam, facing forward, captured the terrifying image in the rearview mirror. The grinder beast gaining speed, its form a chaotic silhouette against the setting sun. Its strides were impossibly long, chunks of asphalt kicked up by its massive, improvised feet. Road hog, you read me," Cutter yelled into his mic, his voice strained with panic. "It's real, the stories are real. There's a monster, a big one." Static answered him. The grinder beast was closing the distance. One of its crane arm claws lashed out, narrowly missing the pickup's tailgate. The sound of its approach was a symphony of destruction, grinding gears, screeching metal, the guttural roar of its multiple, enslaved engines. Cutter swerved, trying to gain an advantage on the winding road. The dashcam showed the landscape blurring past. The grinder beast, however, simply plowed through obstacles, smashing through fences and small trees at the roadside as if they were nothing. Bits of assimilated vehicles, a bent license plate here, a shattered mirror there, were visible within its structure, trophies of past consumptions. "Come on, Betsy, don't fail me now," Cutter pleaded with his truck. The grinder beast swung its other arm, this one ending in something resembling a massive, rotating metal shear. It clipped the rear corner of the pickup. Metal screamed. The pickup fishtailed violently. Cutter fought for control. The dashcam view spun wildly for a moment, then stabilized, showing the grinder beast almost alongside the driver's side. Its glowing headlight eyes seemed to bore into Cutter. It raised one of its massive feet, made from several fused truck tires, and brought it down towards the pickup's hood. Cutter wrenched the wheel hard to the right, aiming the truck off the road down a steep embankment into the woods. "Not like this," he screamed. The pickup plunged down the slope, crashing through underbrush. The grinder beast, momentarily overshooting, paused at the edge of the embankment, its silhouette looming against the sky. It then began to deliberately, inexorably, force its way down the incline after him. The dashcam recorded a jarring, chaotic ride through the trees. Branches smashed against the windshield. The sound of the grinder beast crushing timber behind them grew louder. Suddenly, the pickup slammed into something solid, a large, unseen rock or tree trunk. The vehicle buckled. The dashcam tilted sharply downwards, capturing a brief, confused image of the forest floor rushing up. Then, a final, earth-shattering impact. The image went black. The audio, however, continued for another 10 seconds. The horrifying sound of the grinder beast approaching, its grinding, mechanical breathing. The tearing of metal. A wet, crushing noise. Then, silence. The recording stopped, the drive likely consumed by the fire that subsequently engulfed the pickup. Chapter 5. The Redburn File Synthesis of Silence. The collective data from these recovered devices paints a terrifying, if incomplete, picture. The Last Chance Gas and Go is not merely an abandoned station. It is a nexus, a feeding ground for a parasitic entity that assimilates both mechanical and, it seems, biological matter. The progression is horrifyingly clear. Dat-001 Thorn shows the initial contact, the subtly unsettling twitching attendant, and the early stages of vehicular infection. The strange sounds, the oily sheen. The infection vector is almost certainly the fuel itself, or something within it, something passed on by the attendant. Dat-002 Miller family demonstrates a more overt infestation. The asphalt skitterers, small mobile extensions of the hive, acting with coordinated aggression. The attendant, more watcher than participant here, perhaps a shepherd of the smaller entities. The first direct, physical assault by a station component, the hose-like tentacle, signals a terrifying evolution or a new stage of defense. Dat-003, Driver X, reveals the station's infrastructure itself weaponized. The Pump Hydra is a clear escalation, a direct, overwhelming assault by the core elements of the station. The attendant in this footage is visibly more degraded, more integrated into the metallic parasite, suggesting a symbiotic or captive relationship. Dat-004 Cutter unveils the apex predator, the grinder beast. This entity suggests a mobile, aggressive hunter, capable of pursuing prey far from the station itself. It is an amalgamation, a testament to countless previous consumptions. Its existence implies the parasite is not static. It actively seeks to expand, to assimilate. One final fragment of data, recovered from a shattered smartphone found near the station's perimeter by a survey drone, adds a chilling coda. The file is heavily corrupted, less than 5 seconds of grainy video, seemingly from within the station's old service bay, the presumed lair of the grinder beast. The video is a chaotic whirl, but for a fleeting moment the lens focuses on a wall. It is not concrete. It is a pulsating, organic metallic structure, interwoven with cables, pipes, and what look like distorted vehicle parts, all fused into a single, vast, breathing surface. Shards of bone and metal are embedded within it. It is the briefest glimpse into the heart of the hive. The audio is just a wet, rhythmic throbbing. No survivors from any of these encounters have been located. The Last Chance Gas and Go still stands, marked on old maps, a silent trap on a lonely stretch of Route 73. How many other vehicles, how many other lives have been consumed by its petroparasitic hunger remains unknown. The authorities have cordoned off the immediate area, citing environmental contamination. But the silence from that stretch of highway is heavier now, laden with an unspoken understanding of what truly lies in wait. The recovered footage is a stark warning. There are places where the modern world's skin wears thin, and older, hungrier things push through. And sometimes they build nests. The end.